This is TV18, and you're watching CNBC TV18. Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
South Africa, inspiring new ways for economic growth.
For over a century, South Africa has made a place for itself in the hearts of Indians. We share a common history. Our struggles reflected the voices of liberty, independence and equality. Today we resonate with the ideas of growth, a better country for our citizens and creating an investment destination for the world. Welcome to the CNBC TV18 exclusive on South Africa, inspiring new ways of economic growth. To help take us into the heartland of South Africa, I have with us three people who have been enjoying the warmth of New Delhi amidst the BRICS summit. Nomaksabiso Majokweni is the CEO of Business Unity South Africa, an organization much like our CII that represents South African businesses at national and international levels. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We have with us Mr. Andrew Mutembu, Chairman i3, a company that enables fiber to the home network, FTTH. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
And we have with us Gert Gauss, the CFO of Industrial Development Corporation, IDC, a national level finance institution set up to promote economic growth and industrial development in South Africa. Welcome to this show, gentlemen. Welcome to the show, ma'am. You've been in Delhi over the last couple of days amidst the BRICS summit. What's the atmosphere in the South African camp?
Well, we come here with a lot of expectations because BRICS as a bloc is a bloc to reckon with in terms of the size of the economies, in terms of the shifting of the balance of the economic development between the West and developing nations. So we are quite excited at the opportunities that this bloc presents for South Africa as well as for all the other BRICS partners as well.
Lovely. As a businessman who is looking to invite businesses into South Africa and looking to partner with Indian companies, what are your expectations from this trip?
Well, my expectations is basically to understand in my sector, which is the ICT sector, to understand what opportunities there are with Indian companies that are looking to invest predominantly in communication and telecommunications, and whether there is opportunity to bring in skills from India to assist us with some of our shortages and skills that we have back home.
And of course, if you're looking at financial investments and also trying to help companies that are going to come out there, what have been your ideas before you have come into the country?
I think that's true. We encourage partnerships with international companies. We know that there are tremendous opportunities not only in South Africa but also in the rest of the continent. But to realize those opportunities, we need partners from around the world.
Right.
And a summit like this is ideally placed to connect opportunities with partners.
Over the last 10 years, I would say that India's strength in the information and communication technologies have grown dramatically. We've positioned ourselves as the Silicon Valley of Southeast Asia. Looking to partner with Indian companies at ICT levels, what are the particular sectors or what are the kind of technologies that you wish to take back home, and what are the kind of technologies that you would like to share with us?
There is a need for a very ready and steady flow of information between the BRICS countries.
Right.
And currently, you know, one is finding that when these countries have to communicate, they have to go via gateways in Europe and the US. And one of the projects that we've put on the table as a project where all the BRICS countries can participate is a marine cable project that will link all the BRICS countries directly with one another, provide high speed, high capacity connectivity and secure connectivity, and also connect us with the US being one of the global centers of economic activity. But I think most importantly, this project will enable the facilitating of all these trade opportunities that my colleagues are talking about. And not only that, it will enable the creation of hubs, connectivity hubs or communication hubs in each one of the BRICS centers. And from that, there is then the opportunity of services development, of applications development, of content development, multimedia as you know it today. And this then creates an opportunity for an exchange of skills. It creates an opportunity for employment creation. It creates an opportunity for us, for the first time as BRICS countries, to position ourselves as an alternative to Europe and the US in terms of all of these multimedia opportunities that I'm talking about.
Okay. I'm fairly sure that, you know, Indian companies that are eyeing to invest in South Africa are largely also fascinated by the market value that is available out there. Consumer, business to consumer companies, what is the scope that is there?
Well, South Africa, yes, is the immediate market, for instance, for Indian companies that would invest in South Africa. But it opens up a bigger market in Africa as a continent. And not only that, as South Africa, we have free trade agreements that we have with Europe, with other parts of the world as well. So as a manufacturer based in South Africa, you immediately get exposed to a market that is even bigger than just South Africa on its own. And we find that investors in South Africa actually find this an advantage because we expose them to much bigger markets.
South Africa is the gateway to Africa.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You know, one of the things that we're putting on the table is that don't just look at us as South Africa, the South African economy, which is a very small economy by comparison to the other BRICS countries. We are saying what we're bringing to the BRICS table is the broader African sort of market, which has got 1 billion people, much like India.
Well, and on that note, it's time for a quick break. We'll be coming right back to you.
South Africa, inspiring new ways for economic growth.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
मैं कहाँ हूँ? बेटा कुछ याद करने की कोशिश करो। याद आया। मैं स्विट्जरलैंड के पहाड़ों में बर्फ खा रहा हूँ। मैं स्विट्जरलैंड के लेक में क्रूज कर रहा हूँ और स्विट्जरलैंड में वादियों का नजारा देख रहा हूँ। तू कौन है बे? और कुछ याद रहे ना रहे, याद रहेंगे मेक माई ट्रिप के साथ स्विट्जरलैंड में बिताए हर पल, क्योंकि जब हो अनलिमिटेड साइट सीइंग, अनलिमिटेड डील्स और अनलिमिटेड एक्सपीरियंसेस, यादें तो बनती जाएंगी। कॉल 1860500500। बेटा महेश, नाम याद आया? मेक माई ट्रिप।
These shrewd, smart, street-savvy players. Pawn Stars. Only on History TV 18.
Roll camera. Action.
माँ, हाँ, माँ मुझे नौकरी मिल गई माँ.
Cut. Zoom in. Location change and action. Slow motion. Trolley. Close up. HMI on. Zoom out. Silence. Roll sound.
My resignation. Thank you, sir.
Taking. Crane down.
जिंदगी की पिक्चर में इंटरवल नहीं होता.
Pan left.
ग्लिसरीन डाल. बढ़ती का नाम जिंदगी. एक्सिस बैंक.
Action.
Myself मूर्ति मदुरई से मेरा वापस ट्रांसफर हो गया. Not my fault इसी. बॉस टेकिंग. मैंने कंप्लेन किया. मुझे मुक्तेश्वर भेज दिया. Very cold. मेरा वाइफ ये सब उल्लंघ दिया. But मूर्ति स्मार्ट एसी लिया. People asked मूर्ति मैड फेलो ठंडी में एसी क्यों लिया? It's not just an AC you see. ये है वोल्टास ऑल वेदर एसी. इसमें है इंटेलिजेंट हीटिंग, एक्टिव डिह्यूमिडिफायर और हाई टॉर्क कंप्रेसर. मतलब whatever the weather outside, you stay comfortable inside. देखो मुक्तेश्वर आउटसाइड, मदुरई इनसाइड.
जिंदगी का अटूट हिस्सा है ये दीवारें. इन्हें मजबूत बनाए रखिए. जेपी सीमेंट, अंदर से सॉलिड.
Even as Amir Khan gets ready to make his television debut, Star India is pitching hard for sponsor support. And how the 9 IPL teams stack up in the marketing game. All this and more on Storyboard at these times.
Storyboard brought to you by ImagesBazaar.com, Yes Bank Saving Accounts, Tata Sky, and Mahindra XUV 500.
Smarter, sharper, faster. Here's your chance to become the next superstar of quizzing. Register now for Tata Crucible Campus Quiz. Fabulous prizes and a chance to become the international champion of quizzing. brought to you by Tata. Leadership with trust. Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
South Africa, inspiring new ways for economic growth.
Welcome back. You're watching the CNBC TV 18 exclusive on South Africa, inspiring new ways of economic growth. And we have three lovely people from South Africa joining us in the CNBC studios. Ms. Nomaksabiso Mojokweni. She is the CEO of Business Unity South Africa. We have Mr. Gert Gauss, who is the Chief Financial Officer of IDC. And we have Mr. Andrew Mutembu, the Chairman of I3. Finance obviously plays a key role because countries that are coming into South Africa will want to know what is the access they have to capital. What are the avenues present there?
There are very significant avenues. We have very well developed development finance institutions in South Africa, of which the IDC and the Development Bank of South Africa are the two major ones, but there are also others. In addition to that, we have very significant partnerships with many DFIs from around the world, such as the EIB, the African Development Bank, the development institutions from Europe, and also from with for example the Chinese Development Bank, the State Bank of India, and many others. So there are the finance is there. What we believe is in partnerships between these DFIs and the private sector. And there are certainly opportunities in the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary sectors of the economy, from farming and mining to manufacturing and beneficiation, all the way to the tertiary sector. We focused on ICT already, but there are also others, such as media. What we believe in would be in partnerships that make sense. We can never expect an Indian company to come to South Africa purely for philanthropical reasons. Some of them would, but most would not. It needs to make business sense for an Indian company to invest in South Africa, but it needs to be a win-win situation. We need to develop the country, develop the continent, create jobs, but simultaneously it has to make economic sense to the international entrepreneur.
In addition to that, with the partnerships between the private sector and the development finance institutions, I think it is a well-known fact that the BRICS countries actually withstood or they survived the financial crisis much better than the rest of the countries around the world, and that is essentially because of basically the strength of the banking sector within those within the BRICS countries. So South Africa has quite a developed banking sector, quite vibrant, where we can share some of our experience and expertise with the rest of our BRIC partners as well.
What's the kind of manpower availability, skilled labor availability, and what's the education infrastructure present to support this?
If I may just come in, and again, excuse me.
And especially in your domain, because it's a highly skilled domain.
Exactly. Our domain, which is, I'll talk generally about technology. And in this regard, there is a very strong sort of force or movement that is currently occurring in the country to have a cooperation between government, the private sector, and the institutions of higher education in the country to create, call it, curricula that are very much focused towards specific areas in engineering, in ICT, etc., etc. And this is very important, and we're quite encouraged by the fact that the government has taken the lead on this, and the private sector is making their worthwhile contribution. So my attitude is always a very simple one. If you grow the cake, because you're creating more opportunities, there's enough for everybody.
What is the opportunity for Indian education institutions to leave a mark on South Africa?
Well, those are some of the areas, in fact, that have been identified as areas in which we can further cooperate between the BRICS countries. Those are some of the areas besides the natural complementarities with regards to beneficiation in other areas. But in terms of skills development, we've identified that as an area of benefits.
Because when we speak to educationalists in the country, I know for a fact that they're all looking to, go beyond the borders of this country and leave an education mark in, across the world as well. And South Africa seems to be like the perfect place for them to come in and, impart the skills that we already have and, essentially spread the knowledge around there.
I think that's true. I mean, some of the best known companies in India are already investors in South Africa.
Right. Starting from the Tatas, of course.
If we look at the Tatas, the Mittals, and many others are
as well.
Are very significant investors in South Africa. On the education side, naturally, that now needs to follow, because the one cannot really go without the other one. So we believe that there are very significant opportunities for the educationalists.
I think in the next 20, 30 or even the next 50 years, energy is going to play a huge role, and I think the BRICS countries are already cognizant of the challenges that are already facing. Within the energy space, and this is for you, Mr. Gauss, where can India and South Africa partner better?
Well, I think that's a very good question, because energy is one of the main pillars of our industrialization at the moment, but specifically the renewable energy space.
True. Yeah.
And there we talk about mainly wind and solar, and then to a lesser extent water and nuclear and so forth.
Yeah.
Very significant opportunities. We need to work together in order to very significantly grow the generation capacity of South Africa. We know that there are many opportunities, and many Indian companies are already looking at projects, looking at opportunities. Once again, it needs to be a win-win relationship.
And particularly, what are your challenges? Because your challenges translate to, business associations from this country. So particularly, what are the kind of challenges you're facing within the energy sector in South Africa?
Well, that's a good example. We need to engage. We need to talk. We need to ensure, as I said right at the start, we need to achieve win-win relationships. We need to convince our partners that we cannot manufacture everything in India and import it into South Africa. It needs to be to the benefit of the Indian company, but also to the benefit of South Africa and the region and jobs in that region.
And on that note, it's time for a quick break, but we'll be right back with you. Stay with us.
South Africa, inspiring new ways for economic growth.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
Where do you get ₹600 off on all domestic flights? Even before you can type it, the world would have saved millions booking a flight on Expedia.
Expedia!
Now in India.
Well, I refuse to be unknown, have got a life of my own. Won't you come along, my quirky way? Won't you come along? Hey, hey, hey.
If only everything in your home could clean itself as easily as the Hitachi iClean. iClean, the auto clean AC from Hitachi.
तेजी से बदलता इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, पंजाब का नया एजुकेशन हब, नई इंडस्ट्रीज और सर्विस सेक्टर में नए मौकों के साथ कैसे मोहाली बन रहा है फ्यूचर सिटी ऑफ इंडिया। जानिए 7 अप्रैल को हमारे साथ। मनोहर सिंह एंड कंपनी प्रेजेंट्स फ्यूचर सिटीज ऑफ इंडिया मोहाली, 7 अप्रैल सिर्फ CNBC आवाज पर।
Presented by Manohar Singh and Company, 50 years of legacy in reality. Business partner Infomedia Yellow Pages. Print partner Business Standard and Hindustan Times. Outdoor partner Live Media. Cafe partner Cafe Coffee Day.
Nerolac पेश करते हैं Healthy Home Paints. Nerolac, कुछ चेंज करें, चलो पेंट करें.
It's when CEOs were an aggressive acquirer, plot their next move.
Foreign direct investment to at least hike that cap.
When decision makers,
I see no major obstacles.
Make the decisions.
I could have done better.
When investors spot the market trend. When policymakers,
we have to be prepared,
shape the future.
I'm not inventing.
It's when India watches, understands, and acts. India Business Hour. It's when big ideas become bigger.
That is the big story tonight.
India Business Hour brought to you by IndusInd Bank, Qatar Airways and Airtel Money.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
South Africa, inspiring new ways for economic growth.
Welcome back. You're watching CNBC TV 18 and this is our exclusive on South Africa, inspiring new ways for economic growth. And we are looking at the challenges and potentials that exist for Indian companies as they look to invest in South Africa. Coming back to education, I like the idea of Ubuntu. Driving education through technology has been a focus in our country for the past few years, and it's been the race towards finding more economic, power efficient, easily graspable modules of technology that can be imparted to the lowest strata for them to be able to stand on their own feet. Within this domain, within the ICT domain and driving technology, where do you see hope?
In South Africa, we do have initiatives. We've got what we call the Dinaledi schools, where we are bringing e-education into schools in the remote parts of the country. I'm also aware that with a program like that, we do have Indian people assisting our schools with some of these programs that you're talking about. So it's already happening in a way. But I must state that one of our biggest challenges that is with us now and that is going to continue into the future is the whole question of connectivity.
Right.
Terrestrial connectivity. Satellite is one thing, but if you're going to be talking about more sort of extensive elements of e-education, you probably need more than satellite.
Satellite, yeah.
And this is one of the areas that the private sector, working together with governments and the development finance institutions, are addressing as a matter of urgency.
Okay.
Because infrastructure will continue to be a big challenge for us as an economy. So we have to find creative ways of utilizing ICT to be able to get out to the remote parts of the country, not only for education but also for health. And I know, because there are pilots that are going on in the country, that India is already steps ahead, in this regard, and that's why we're tapping, into some of your technologies to assist us with this initiative.
Helping Indian companies come towards South Africa, what's the kind of infrastructure available for them within this country to help facilitate that process?
Well, first of all, we have quite a good relationship with CII here and FICCI as organized business confederations. So we do help each other's private sector to basically, whether they are investing in South Africa or the other way around in India. So that is the first point of assistance that we offer. But from our side as Business Unity South Africa, obviously we are the reservoir of information in terms of how do you invest in South Africa. All you need to know before you get into the country for investment purposes. So we would help in that regard with the various facilitation processes, whether it's between our Home Affairs that's responsible for visas and work permits and so on, but also with regards to information on cost of doing business, sectoral information and so on, registration of companies. So these are things that we can assist with.
And as we said before, South Africa has Africa on its shoulders, and it is a gateway to the rest of the continent. For countries looking much further, what do they have to keep in mind when they're looking at expanding further ahead?
I think the African countries other than South Africa are not different in what they need to achieve for the development of their peoples, for the growth of their countries. So I think that the challenges are similar. Naturally, the various countries have different legal regimes and so forth. So each country is unique in a way, but also very similar.
If I may add to that as well, looking further ahead, it is important to look into the development of the consumer segment, because in the BRICS community, South Africa included obviously, the fact that there is still potential to grow the middle class, for instance, so there is still room there to grow the consumer segment of the market as compared to what you find in the more developed economies. So this is something that investors would look into as a more medium to long-term sort of benefit for investing within the BRICS community.
And a final word from you. What are the kind of changes that you'd see, that you expect from India to help further this partnership that we are beginning to see?
If I may just come in there.
Sure.
For me, parting shot is the flow of information between these economies is key.
Right.
When I talk about flow of information, I'm talking about financial transactions, I'm talking about knowledge information, I'm talking about exchanges of technological advances in each one of these countries. And unless we get to a point where there's a transparent and ready flow of this information between the BRICS countries, we won't get very far.
Okay.
And therefore, my parting shot, I encourage, or I appeal to the Indian operators to look at this BRICS project that we've been talking about, the Marine Cable project, and look at investing in it seriously, because it's our only opportunity of getting this transparent flow of information between the BRICS economies.
Okay. So guys, your parting shot?
There is without a doubt significant friendship and goodwill between India and South Africa. I think we need to continue on that path, but where we can, accelerate the speed of delivery.
We need to cement our the free flow of trade between India and South Africa in particular. Yes, we discussed this at a bilateral level between the two countries, but non-tariff barriers such as phytosanitary and sanitary non-tariff barriers that affect our free trade within the agricultural sector particular, which is a sector of promise for South Africa. So we need to dismantle those over time, so as to encourage a free flow of trade.
Amen to that. And with that, we come to the end of this panel discussion. This would be the beginning of what I believe is going to be a long and beautiful journey of South Africa and India coming back together to probably build a history that centuries later will look back and say, this was a great start. Thanks again, and thank you very much.
South Africa, inspiring new ways for economic growth.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.
सुबह के 5